What's up guys, welcome back to the channel. As you can see, we are back in Forza Horizon 4 today, and we're going to be checking out the 1999 Lamborghini Diablo GTR. I for one have been looking forward to this car coming into the game because I was a huge fan of the Diablo when I was a kid. Like a lot of kids from my generation, I had posters of the Diablo on my wall, so it's really cool to see the racing variant of it here in the game. Now, as always, we will take just a quick look around here in Forza Vista. I'm not going to waste a lot of time on it. There's not a whole lot to really go over that's super interesting on this car because it is basically a race car. Everything's for the most part stripped out, although saying that, on the interior here it actually does look very nice and finished out. We'll hop in, take a quick look at it here, and we'll go ahead and fire it up and take a quick listen while we're doing that too. But as you can see, compared to a lot of other like race bred vehicles, it actually looks very finished in the inside. It's really clean looking. Like I said, let's go ahead and fire this thing up and get a quick sound clip of it. It's not the greatest sounding car in Horizon, but it's definitely not horrible. It definitely sounds better out in free roam. From the little bit I drove it, it does not sound that great here in Forza Vista for some reason. It's really muted and kind of subdued sounding. We'll take a quick peek back here at the engine. As you can see, it's not a lot different than your standard Lamborghini V12. It just has that scoop on the back to pull some fresh air down into the motor. You can see some little race car bits here and there. And this thing does come on speedline courses right out of the box. I'm not going to change these. I really like them, especially with the knockoffs in the center. Overall, the body's not tremendously different from a standard Diablo besides the spoiler back here and then the front spoiler obviously, but besides that, it looks fairly similar. And then obviously they have their normal race car bits added like the fuel fillers, and then you have your shutoffs for emergencies and then fire extinguisher up here in the front. But overall, they didn't drastically alter the car overall. Alright, that's enough of that guys. Let's go ahead and jump into the customization, see what all we can do here. I did already go through it. I actually have a couple of builds made, but I'll just show you guys what's available to do to the car. I do want to point out, as you can see right now, the car is sitting at S2 950. I do have a few upgrades on it, mostly just the engine. I put a little wider tire on it, and then I did race brakes and full drivetrain upgrades, and that's pretty much it on this build. I brought it up to the middle of S2 950 pretty much, but I wanted to have like a more mild build, and then I went ahead and threw together just like a maxed out stock engine build for you guys. This thing actually puts out some pretty good power for the stock motor. But as you can see here, we do have the 6.5 V12, the racing V12, really no surprise there at all. Obviously you can do all-wheel drive swap. And for aspiration, this is the one that kind of surprised me because we do have single turbo, twin turbo, as well as positive displacement supercharger and centrifugal superchargers for this car. I did go ahead and do a little investigating for you guys, and you can run either twin or single turbo. They'll both make the same power, fully upgraded. The only real difference is your power band. Obviously, a single turbo, you have a little bit more lag while it builds boost at the bottom end. So for my wild build, I did go with the twin turbo just so it comes on power a little bit more linear coming out of corners. Now for aero upgrades, all they have for this is the rear wing, and all you can actually do is remove the GTR wing, which I think actually looks pretty cool, but I'm going to leave it on there just for the sake of performance and because I actually do think it looks pretty cool on this car. Now this thing does come on race tires stock. You can do rally tires if for some reason you wanted to rally the car. As you see, we can go all the way up to a 285 front. 245 is the stock, and then on both builds I have front maxed out. On the mild build we have right now, I'm on a 335, but this thing can go all the way up to a crazy 365 in the rear. It's super fat tire on this thing. For rims, it starts at an 18. As you see, I have a 19 on it, and then you can go all the way up to 20s if you really wanted to. I just think they look a little too big on the car, and same in the back. I'm not even going to bother going in there. And then as you guys can see, I do have max wheel spacer width on it already. That's kind of what it comes with stock. Not really surprising for a 90s supercar. None of them really had the best fitment in the world. And then same goes for the back. As you can see, that brings it literally all the way up to that fender arch there. There's literally no more room. And this is actually a stock ride height too. I have not dropped the car down I'm not going to go into drivetrain upgrades, it's just all the standard stuff. You get pretty much the standard performance benefits out of it. Nothing really crazy at all there. For brakes, like I said, I did upgrade them. We do start on sport, sport, so we only have one upgrade to race brakes. So I gotta say, with the wheel or the color choice I went with and the wheels, I really like the red calipers on this car actually. We already on race suspension, and the only option for this car is to go to rally suspension. That's kind of crazy too. Even on rally suspension, it does not lift this car up very much at all. Now this is the part that really shocked me when I was looking through it. You can see we already start off at 3,000 pounds, which isn't crazy at all. And then if you go to waist weight reduction, it drops 1,059 pounds off, bringing this car all the way down to 2,003 pounds. Now saying that, if you went racing V12, all-wheel drive, and race weight reduction, and did all the other upgrades to this car, I think this would definitely be one of the fastest overall cars in the game. That's really insane. You can go all the way down to 2,000 pounds with this thing. And for the wild build, I did go ahead and add it on there. Like I said, I still have the stock engine in it. It's making a little over 1,000 horsepower, but we'll go over all that when we actually take the car out and drive it. And with the stock engine, as you can see, we don't have many upgrade options, which, considering this was supposed to be like a race car, not really a surprise there. As you can see, we can do race fuel system, and it's not a crazy increase, like 20 horsepower. The cams give you a mild increase as well on this car. You really don't gain a lot. You only get 60 horsepower just about. Now stock, this thing made about 500 horsepower, so considering the few upgrades we can do to the engine, 707 is not bad at all. As you can see, this thing does have 2 upgrades to the engine block. We can gain a maximum of, 28 horsepower. Like I said, you're not getting a whole lot at all out of doing the engine upgrades to this thing, which is why I only built it up to the top of 950 without going kind of crazy. This is about the max this car can do. Alright guys, now that we've covered all that, we're going to go ahead and jump out here, take this thing around, drive it for just a second so you guys can see how it handles, and then we'll go ahead and do a race or two. Then we'll switch to the wild tune and we'll just do a couple top speed runs on the highway. Alright guys, now that we're back here in free roam, before we actually go anywhere in this car, I just want to give you guys a quick sound clip of it out here in free roam so you can see what I'm saying. It's still not the greatest sounding car, but it's definitely way better than what it is inside Forza Vista for some reason. You can really see what I mean about, especially on the interior view, because in Forza Vista you are inside the car when it's running, so take a quick listen to this. You get a lot more intake noise. It's very subdued in the inside in this car, but it's still much better sounding than Forza Vista for some reason. And then on this style of car, a lot of times the hood view still is the loudest and most aggressive sounding. Alright, so I do have us a little spot marked out here on the map. We'll go ahead and switch to third person for just a minute so you guys can see what the car, or how the car reacts around corners. I actually have not tested this build out yet at all, so I'm gonna kind of see how it does here. Hopefully it's a pretty balanced setup. I feel like it should be. I feel like the tune should be pretty well set up as well for it. You guys can see though, even with a very mild build on it, this thing is really no slouch. Just from the little bit I did drive it stock, it felt really well, or really good too, but you can tell it was really kind of lacking in power, at least compared to more modern supercars. Alright, as you guys saw on the loading screen there, we are at Lakehurst for a sprint, but I did make a custom blueprint, so it'd be all Italian sports cars. Really was not feeling racing this thing in extreme track toys against a bunch of drift cars and stuff like that. That was probably the sketchiest way I could have gone around the corner in this car. I will say I feel like I'm going to be at a major disadvantage against a lot of these cars since they do have all-wheel drive and basically almost the same power for the most part, I want to say, is what I am putting down. But I can take corners faster than them as long as I'm smooth with the car, because it will get fairly twitchy, I've found out. So barely enough room to sneak up the inside there. You definitely don't want to be too aggressive with steering inputs, especially once you're already in the corner, because it is mid-engine and it will snap around on you if you just really throw the weight around too much. I gotta say, the AI are not making it easy to drive this car at its actual limit either, because they're so slow going into the corners, and this thing has so much downforce, it's just like glued to the road. And because I'm having to shed so much speed, you can feel it lose downforce, and it really starts to become unsettled. Oh, come on. Still got about half the race to make up some positions here. Almost overshot that corner. I gotta say, it's a really balanced car. It's really fun to drive, but as you guys are seeing, it's just not the most competitive car in its class by a long shot. At least not without doing some really wild alterations to the way the car is designed. I mean, like adding turbos, all-wheel drive, that sort of thing. Basically making it into a modern Lamborghini. A little sideways there. You can really see just how much quicker this thing is around the corners than most of these cars, though. Every time we get into a twisty section is when I really start to make up ground on them. I'm just not going to have enough room left here to be able to do any more overtakes, so we're just about to the end of this track. The AI just about destroyed me there. Somehow held on to it and managed to make up a couple spots though. Alright, so we are at Derwent Reservoir Sprint, and I kind of did the same thing for this. I did an all-Italian sports cars race. Give this thing one more shot. The last race finish wasn't the most spectacular, but I wasn't really expecting it to be, because like I said, in a lot of ways this car is just outclassed by more modern cars like this. On a really tight technical track though, this thing would probably just absolutely destroy most of these cars because it does handle so much better. Honestly though, I don't really feel like this car coming into Horizon is about it being one of the fastest cars or anything like that. I think it's just more the experience of getting to drive it, and I gotta say this car really does shine. It's really fun to drive. It's got a very intuitive feel to it like you would expect from a Lamborghini race car. It's got plenty of power, really good handling, it looks awesome. It's just not the fastest thing. I definitely gotta say, as I'm getting a little more used to how the car reacts, especially in corners, I'm really starting to like this thing a lot. It's just got an insane amount of grip at speed. That was literally a Hail Mary of a move, and somehow I made it stick and didn't completely wipe out. Okay, I thank you for that. Same thing in this race. I'm just getting bottled up in the corners, and I'm having a hard time making up any ground and getting overtakes on them because of it. And then as soon as we get out of corners and in any kind of straight, they just start pulling away from me like it's nothing. Oh! made that work somehow too. Holy cow, I don't know how I did either one of those and did not completely just bend the car. That has got to be some of the most fun I've had driving a car in Horizon here in a while. I am not gonna lie, this thing is just so good when you drive it right. Alright guys, so like I said earlier, after doing a couple races, we're going to switch over to my wild tune I did for this thing and give it a little bit of a go. As you can see, we're at 1,004 horsepower, 761 foot-pounds of torque, 2,100 pounds. This thing should literally take off like a rocket ship. I did not put all-wheel drive on it, so we're going to kind of suffer on launch. But once we get this thing moving, it should be really, really crazy what kind of speed this thing can hit. You can already hear those turbos spooling up back there. I can definitely tell we have an insane amount of power under the pedal in this thing. I'm gonna have to redo the gearing in this. I didn't really change it from the other setup, and we're already maxing out 6th gear basically. Once again, like I said, at least without doing like a racing V12, not the fastest car by any means, but from getting to 0 to, what was it, I think around almost 220 this thing actually maxed out on us there, it just literally eats all the way to it. And we didn't really sacrifice much in terms of handling either, because this car does have so much downforce. Let's go ahead and cut it through here and get over here on the highway. I will go ahead and jump in and stretch the gears out just a little bit, see what kind of top speed this thing can really hit. Alright, according to what tuning says, with this gear ratio, we should be able to get around 255 with just a little over 1,000 horsepower. Let's see if we can actually get to it. Definitely feels a little bit more drivable too with the gears stretched out a little bit. It just was hitting power super fast and then maxing each gear out. It really wasn't making use of that power band that we have with the twin turbo setup. Even under park throttle, it is just insane how quick that speedometer is just going up on us there. I don't think we're going to hit 255, but we should get pretty close, I feel like. Wow, this thing can literally take these corners flat out because of the downforce. This is nuts. And you got to remember too, I don't have the downforce tuned down any at all, so we are being a little restricted by that. I'm not mad though. I'm really happy with how this thing drives at even 230 miles an hour and being rear wheel drive. I really expected it to get really sloppy and be hard to drive with that kind of power. And literally it's the exact opposite. At these speeds it's got so much downforce, it's just glued to the road. It's not going anywhere. Alright guys, we're going to make one more pass down the highway here to end the video off. I really hope you guys enjoyed this. This thing was okay, Forza. This thing was a ton of fun to drive. I highly recommend you guys go out and get this car if you have a chance and you have the time to go ahead and knock out the completion to get it. It really didn't take me too long at all to get this thing. Definitely worth the time. It's a super rare car. It's something you don't see in any other racing games. It's really awesome we did get it here in Forza, especially with how well they made the car drive. I'm just really happy with the car all around. Just weaving through traffic at over 200 miles an hour and as I was getting ready to say, over 230 miles an hour weaving through traffic. That was not the car's fault there. That was definitely mine. I was getting a little too brave with the traffic. But it just drives and handles so good. Like you guys saw, it's not going to win against any modern supercars in a race. At least not with any kind of moderate setup, I want to say, or anything mildly realistic. But it is going to be a whole lot more fun to drive on the way to the finish line than most of those are. Anyways, guys, if you did enjoy the video today, please hit that like button down below, comment and subscribe. It really helps the channel out, and I'll see you guys next time.